All right. All right. So, everybody, welcome to our special event today. I am so grateful to have all of you here in order to just be with you in this space for the next hour. We're going to use this time very productively. Like I mentioned to those of you who are on time, we don't punish the on time for the tardy. So, we're going to go ahead and get started right away. So, I'm going to share screen and we're going to get going into this very exciting job ad masterclass. I don't know how many of you before this class would have described job ads as exciting, but for me, I really do get excited over this stuff because I understand that this is how we get going in developing our dream teams. So this is the Hire Better Physical Therapists Now Job Ad Masterclass. And before we get going, I want to introduce someone very special who's going to be co-hosting and supporting us during this meeting so that I can focus on content. She will be the person who will be fielding your questions. Please feel free in the chat to use this as much as possible. Michelle Bambanek, she has been a partner of mine for over 12 years.
Yeah, over 12 years.
Been a long time, Michelle and I have been together.
Know.
She is one of the most wonderful human beings on this planet. I can say that very definitively. And she works in Rockstar on the director training side. So she helps train physical therapy directors and really gets them to own the practice as if it was theirs. So Michelle, why don't you introduce yourself and give them a little bit of little tips here and there?
Yeah, wonderful. My name is, again, Michelle Bambanek. I'm a physical therapist and was in practice with Will at Rise Rehab until we went through our sale. And now working with multiple people across the company in physical therapy space and helping them maximize their efficiencies and their bottom line in their practices. And I get the beautiful benefit of assisting in coaching up a lot of the directors that we have on hand, so within the team. So there's a significant amount of joy that I get out of creating leaders in the teams in the clinical environment. And so I'm really excited about that opportunity with clients that we currently have and future clients in as we build our practice. So in any event, I am just really excited to be on this call with you today to help support through this rockstar recruiting vein as we lead up to building your team to eventually create all the who's to then go into the hows of getting them owning the business as if it were their own. So I just invite you to be active in the chat. Please use that as a place for if you have comments, if you have questions. I will be navigating that space during this call with you today. So anything and everything, please, I encourage you to be interactive with us. We really prefer a two-way communication with you. We don't want necessarily just want to be talking to you. We want to have a conversation with you. So that's our invitation, and it's my joy to be here with you guys today. So
yeah, thank you, Michelle. I sure appreciate that. And again, thanks to all of you for creating an hour out of your busy day to be here. We take this very seriously. So if you're going to create time to be here, I want you to know that we've prepared in a way that is going to meet that expectation. We want to show up for you so that you walk away with some real tangible tools that are going to immediately impact your business so that you can build that dream team. Michelle and I have really gotten to this place where we want to be known as the who's that help you develop your who. Because in life, it's not about what we do, it's who we do it with. Growth isn't what we should do, it's who are the who's that can help us grow. And that's what we're all about. So thanks again for being here. Before we get started, a couple things I just want to go underway with you guys. Please silence your cell phones. If you can mute your screens as well. We want to get this effectively and efficiently done. And in order to get through this massive amount of material that is easy to follow, but still there's a lot of good information, I don't want you to be distracted. If you're really going to be here, be here. Try not to check email. Try not to let other things happen. You know, I do that sometimes where I'm like, yeah, I'll be there and multitask. I promise if you commit to being here, you're going to get some unbelievable results, and get ready to take notes because, again, what we're going to go through is incredibly valuable. It's something that's been tried and true, something that not only have we done, but experts outside of our industry have done for years. So guys, thanks for being here again. So let's kick it off. This is our first participation in the chat. Please, which of the following three options best describes your PT recruiting experience? Number one, you can hire a PT once they get in front of you. You just struggle with getting leads to the interview. I will tell you from experience, this is a lot of people I work with. They're actually really good salesmen and women. They just struggle with getting the leads. Number two, you used to be able to hire PTs, but lately it's become harder as the industry has shifted. Or three, you have always struggled with finding physical therapists. So please put those in the chat and let us know which, you can have more than one, of course, but which of those are there. Michelle, what are you saying?
It's been harder since the industry has shifted. Number one, moving towards number two from Kim.
Yeah.
Those were the, yep, 1 and 2. Michael's chiming in with number 1 and number 2.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the industry has shifted, guys. And that's the thing is that, when I talk to PTs, it's a common thing that people tell me. It is hard to recruit PTs. And the industry continues to become more challenging because there's a limitation on the number of people we can hire. And last year, for the first time, we saw an exodus of PTs from our industry. We never have seen that in years like that, where people are leaving because it's not meeting their goals. So how important, this is something just to ask yourself, how important is having a PT recruiting solution for your practice? How vital would that be? If I could wave a wand and you guys could have an unlimited supply of physical therapists, of talented physical therapists who are committed, what would your business look like? Seriously, think about what problems would go away? Would there be any problems left? Let's talk about one of the things that happens if we don't have a good solution, the cost of a bad hire. This is from the US Department of Labor, is that it's roughly 30%. Our cost of hiring a bad employee costs us about 30% of the new employee's salary. So for physical therapists who are making on low end, an average of $70,000 a year, that's $14,000 for every PT that we hire that doesn't work out. And that doesn't include all the emotional drain, right? Who here has ever gone through the emotional drain of those long emotional conversations with PTs that are unhappy because they're too burned out or they're not getting what they need? It can be really exhaustive. So let me tell you where Michelle and I are coming from. My journey begins a little bit earlier than Michelle's in our business. I was fortunate enough coming out of school in the early 2000s to work in this beautiful desert that you see before you called Florence, Arizona. Florence is halfway between Phoenix and Tucson. And in the middle of this desert are 18 prisons and this clinic that I started. So I had one location out in Florence and I had a nightmare team. People had to drive 20 to 30 minutes past other clinics into an Indian reservation to come work for me in the middle of nowhere. And it wasn't very pretty. And I didn't know what to do. So I just kept paying more and more. And I ended up just hiring anyone who fogged a mirror. If they had a pulse and they wanted to work there, I hired them. And as a result, I built a team that absolutely hated my guts. Early, 2007s, 8s, 9s, I had a team that literally would have their own staff meeting after my team meeting to talk about how horrible I was. And I say this from a place of sincerity. This was one of the hardest times of my journey because if you guys have ever experienced that, it's pretty draining and horrible to be in a position where that happens. And so I decided I was going to walk away from my business, but my wife said, no, why don't you go start hiring coaches? Why don't you go start doing other things? And I think Sean Kirk is on this call, who is one of the great coaches who was very influential in my path and in my journey. I'm so honored to have him with us. And so one of the things I started doing was paying coaches in the recruiting space. That was very different. I started networking with experts in recruiting to help me solve this problem. And guess what? I learned this important rule that learning to recruit is akin to leadership development. We oftentimes think of recruiting as this hard thing that gets in our way. But guys, I'll tell you from experience, recruiting talent is the ultimate quintessential expression of leadership. Because what's the number one job of a leader? To build more leaders. And I didn't know that. So this journey did so much for me personally, as well as professionally. And over time, I was able to get to this place. This is the dream team, the dream team. These are people that I love with all of my heart, that I know would take a non-lethal bullet for me. You'll see Michelle there. And I would tell you that these people are a legitimate family to me. I've learned that these concepts of how to build the right team turns a team into a family. This was when I was able to work less than 10 or 15 hours a week, only in recruiting, because that's the one thing I never gave up. Michelle was basically running the company by herself at that point with this wonderful team. So I was able to get free because they wanted me to go back and serve the industry, which was always my desire. And we ended up exiting and creating a new company called Empower, which at the time we ended up having 26 locations. We sold as a result of that. We stayed on for years in Michelle's case to help oversee its growth. They are now at 60 locations and getting stronger and bigger. And we couldn't be more proud. But all of that was because of these people. These are the people that made it all happen. And then after I left that company, just as a side note, I learned this incredible lesson that profitability unlocks possibility. You see, when I had my one location and it was hard for me to find a therapist, over the recruiting journey, we ended up opening 3 other locations. We were able to expand and grow, eventually turned into this 26 location company. And one thing I forgot to mention that's very important for you to know is that I had someone helping me recruit for all the entry-level positions, but I personally was responsible for recruiting for all 26 locations by myself. And it wasn't hard. And the reason being is because these things we're going to talk about today, it's like gravity. Once you learn them, it's not difficult, even with a shortage of PTs. So for me, once we sold, I lived in Europe for 6 months with my 4 kids. This is a more current picture of us a few weeks ago. They've gotten taller. I got a little thinner, thank goodness. And then I started a YouTube channel. But this is the funny part, is that team that once hated my guts, now I have people who thought of me in a very positive light, and they gave me this Ted Lasso award where they said that I reminded them of Ted Lasso. The thing about it is, guys, is that I didn't change that much. I did grow, no question. But the difference was the team. The team being better aligned made me a better leader, made it more possible for me to achieve whatever it was that I wanted to achieve and beyond. So when we talk about this, I just want to get it really clear. We're about to dive into the actual technical training, but I just want to make it clear that at the end of the day, when we sell our practices, because we're all exiting, at one point, we're all exiting. When I sold, this was the big lesson. It wasn't the patients that was my legacy. It was my team. Michelle, Stephanie, Kyle, Tony, Abby, Jared, Katie, Taylor, Josh, Kim, Stacy. 2 of those people are no longer living, by the way. But they'll always be with us. And it's true that this is what we get to do as leaders. This is the real opportunity. The patient care is actually just a product of this. So let's get into the actual training now that you know a little bit about me and Michelle and what we're about. This is what you're going to learn. How to build a compelling job offer that sets you apart. What mistakes to avoid that most companies make, and the right sequence to help create a powerful job ad that stands out and sells your practice. I said the sells word. That's right. We have sell as a bad word in our industry. In our case, I love that word because it's about educating people on things that can make their lives better. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share with you an incredible bonus because you came, and I even have maybe a little surprise in the middle somewhere. Maybe. So let's kick it off with a controversial statement that I believe to be true. Hiring physical therapists is easy. So yeah, I'm sure most of you are like, whatever. And I don't blame you. That's how I felt for years. But the reason I think it's easy is because no one, and I mean hardly anyone, truly, understands the concepts of recruiting. We haven't received enough training from our industry. We don't get the support we need to learn how to attract talent and retain them. But when you know how, and no one else does, it puts you at an advantage. And that's what I'm here to give you today, is that advantage. To prove my point, here's one of many we're going to go through today. 3 months ago, I thought it was incredibly hard in my area to hire PTs. I'm in a rural area and I see mostly Access or Medicaid. But now I have a PT hired and 2 more I'll be willing to make an offer to. And that was in 3 months from a guy in rural Mississippi. These things can happen quickly if they're applied consistently. But let's get right into it. The perfect job ad, it can't make up for a bad job offer. So listen, I know you were here for the job ad, but we're going to spend some time on the job offer at the very beginning because all the ad is a reflection of the offer. The exchange, that value proposition that we make with physical therapists is how we attract talent. Our ability to communicate what we stand for and where we are going has to be represented in a simple, easy to understand way so that PTs can feel, not just see, but feel connected and understand how they can fit in. According to Indeed, 88% of PTs leave a company, or any employee, leaves a company because they don't see a future in it. So we start attracting them with that future in mind. Stephen Covey, right? Begin with the end in mind. And so it all comes down to this offer. And here's another reason why it's important for you to understand this piece, is that when it comes to putting job ads out, this is Indeed. This is what a physical therapist sees. When they're applying for a job, the first thing they see isn't the job ad. They see the job offer as broken down through Indeed's service. So you can see this is a real position, open position in this place, Foothills Medicine here in Arizona. Before they even click on your job ad, they're going to see the price range. They're going to look at reviews. They're going to look at all the benefits that are associated with it. So we have to know, and it can be a lot, right? As a PT owner, I didn't know. I felt like I was overwhelmed with all the options of how we can, what benefits matter and how to create those and how can I afford them and all those things. Well, good news. I'm going to break down right now, super efficiently, the 5 components of a powerful job offer. Now, remember, the offer comes with exchange. We'll go into another time if you're interested in something called a job scorecard, which shows the employee what's expected of them. But now we're just advertising, right? So let's get into the job offer itself. The first category is the obvious one, which is compensation. This is the salary, the bonus, and the time off. You can figure out and research what competitive salaries, bonuses, and time offs are by going on to Indeed and LinkedIn. I encourage everyone in their area to develop a network of friends who you might think are competitors in your region so that you can understand and exchange information like how much are you paying your PTs? Very gratefully, this was part of Sean Kirk's mastermind group, is that we had people in my area that I thought were enemies of mine that we became friends with. And we used to share this data, but you can also go onto Indeed and LinkedIn and look up what people around you are paying and offering for physical therapists. And you can get an idea of what you can do to be competitive. And remember, time off with this generation is what really matters. So when it comes to creating a job offer that really matters, the more we can do on the time off space, the more attractive the offer. And so oftentimes, like in our case, this was even years ago at Rise Rehab, our company, we would advertise 4 weeks off with 7 paid holidays. That was more than what our competitors were doing, and oftentimes would attract people who really valued family. So guess what they brought to our culture? A real desire to create family. And we found, yes, that created other problems. You know, we had a team at one point of 50 employees. It's like, how do you get everybody time off? But when you have the right team, you figure it out. And that's a different masterclass on how do you create a structure for time off so that everyone gets their time off and no one struggles or complains. That's maybe 2 masterclasses, but ultimately we have to be willing to recognize that piece of it. So that's the first category. We can research to find out competitive compensation and bonus, and even determine how we can create time off. Number 2, the second category of the job offer is educational benefits. So this is really huge, really huge. The new generation, as you know, probably hopefully all by now, they're super into mentorship. If you have the ability to create a residency, great. But one of the things we do, this is a quick tip for you guys, is that we used to do this thing called unlimited Con Ed. We did that as one of our benefits. And here's why. We piloted it. When we gave people $2,000 a year for Con Ed, they used every penny. They would take tons of time off. They would try to take courses in China to get to leverage every penny they could. When I made it unlimited, they all stopped using their Con Ed because it's kind of like working at the ice cream factory. You can have as much as you want, so you stop eating it. And I used to get, Michelle and I used to have to get on our team members to be like, hey, you guys got to start taking more classes. We don't want you just to hit your minimum requirements. We want you to grow. But it really is attractive to have that in our job offer, unlimited Con Ed. There's some ways to do that so that you're not having them run off and get certified in dry needling or pelvic health. If that's not something you want to build, you can put parameters on it, but it's still very useful. And you tell people in the interview, that's how much we care about your progression and growth, is that we don't want to put restrictions on that. By the way, the job offer is so important that there's a book by a guy named Alex Hermosi called The $100 Million Offer. It has completely changed my life, and it gives you an advantage on how to interact with your PTs. If you want me to send you that book for free, for free, put your name in the chat. I will personally send you a book as a thank you for being here live on this call. And if you're watching this recording, if you actually made it to this point, send me an email and I'll send you a book copy as well. But put your name in the chat if you'd like for me to send you a copy of that book. I've already got your information, so it's not like a technique or anything. I'm literally just going to send you the book if you want it. It's one of my favorite books. All right. So insurance, here's the third category of the job offer. This is pretty straightforward. Health insurance, short-term disability, for those of you who are confused by that second one, long-term disability and death. This is the only one that I've come across that really matters to people is the healthcare. So in those cases, there's different ways for you to be able to provide healthcare if you can't financially do it. One of the ways that I recommend is a professional employers organization. That's a real long explanation on why this works. But if you'd like more information on that, please let us know. I'll be happy to jump offline with you and explain what they do and what that looks like. But there is a way for you to be able to get medical benefits to your team if you can't afford them. And there's so many different creative ways to help people. There's companies like Redirect Health that aren't your traditional healthcare company that have a cost savings plan that helps provide amazing care at a low fee for you as an employer. So those three categories, obviously very big. Now we get to more of the specialized programs that we are going to create for what we call our avatar. When we're recruiting, and in marketing, you do this as well, we create an ideal, an imaginary person who embodies the perfect hire. We give them a name, we give them an age, and then we start building our company around this person because when we advertise to them, it looks like we're talking just to them. So special programs, for example, if you had a student new grad as your avatar, you would want to create a loan repayment program, which I have completely written up. A relocation assistance program if you're in the rural part of Alaska where I've worked as helping someone recruit. Parental leave and those types of things if they have kids. You want to get into the mind of your hire and really get clear as to what it is that would benefit them. And then lastly, there are opportunity programs that you want to create as part of that benefit package. One of the things that we did that was really big was that we had a leadership development program that we created that super attracted entrepreneurs, people who wanted to go open their own clinics. They would come work for us. And then after 2 to 3 years, we'd say, yeah, let's help you go open your own practice. Like, we won't own it. Like, you just go do it. And a high percentage of those people were like, after 2 years, we're like, no, I just like it here. I have all the benefits of owning in terms of like the leadership, but I don't have to worry about any of that nightmare-y stuff that, all of us have to deal with, right? And so you can look at regional programs, if you're treating regionals, like if you're in Alaska, of course, like there's some areas that can really promote their region. And then you have like one-to-one care. If you're a company that's able to afford going one-on-one, I always say put that as a clear marker on your ad because students in particular really look for that type of stuff. So for example, speaking of Alaska, before working with this one client, they were really struggling finding any leads. And then after some time with me, they had 10x of responses to their job ads within a month and hired 5 PTs. It really is interesting. And so we're going to get into why that works right now. Michelle, do we have names for people who want books?
Yes, I've got some names.
Cool. Guys, seriously, these books are, I'm so ADD. My book attention span's about 2 hours. These books are about 2 hours if you want to read them from start to finish. And there's just gold in them. There's gold in them hills. Like, they're so good. So this is another fact. A poorly written job ad can actually make it harder to hire PTs. And the good news is most of your competitors are writing poorly written job ads. Mm-hmm. That's why it's easier for people who know these techniques. So let's talk about the big 3 mistakes. Number 1, being unoriginal. Right now on LinkedIn, there are 81,000 job ads for physical therapists. Right now, 81,000. That is a sea of white noise. And I'm being generous here by saying 90% of them are identical. Like, I would say probably 99% of those are identical. The ones that stand out clearly have the right training. I look at big companies like ATI. There's a reason why they're able to hire, even when their stock is dropping, even when like we all as an industry wide think of them as like not where we want to go as an industry. They know how to recruit better than anyone else. They do. I've been to CSM where all the tens of thousands of students go every year. And I've spent time with their heads of recruiting, and they're very open about sharing what they do because there's no competition. Like, they've told me their programs and how they operate, and it's just brilliant how they operate. But it all starts with being different. So how do we be different? Well, there's good and bad ways to be different. This is an example. This is a real ad of someone who put an ad out there of a bad way to be different. So what do you guys see? This is interactive now. Type in the chat. What do you see in this ad that you think isn't effective and may even hurt the person? I'll give you guys 30 seconds. And if you don't see anything wrong with it, you can put that in the chat as well. But hint, there's a few things wrong with this ad. What do you see there, Michelle?
Okay, we've got Ashley's mentioning nothing about the business is included in this ad. Nancy is saying that they will think that they don't have to work, just have fun.
Yeah, it's almost, and I don't know about you guys, but when I first saw this, I'm like, oh, they're desperate. How many exclamation points can we put? Like, whoa, wow, it's we can cross the line. Oftentimes we think we're coming across a certain way, but in reality, we're coming across differently. Yeah. And so going back to that ad, I'll just kind of highlight, this is speaking to someone who's clearly money driven, sign-on bonus, $5,000. We enjoy 300 days of sunshine. So it's about like, hey, you're going to love it here. And there's nothing about the clinic, Ashley. You're dead right. Like, this is somebody who, whether the person receives it as desperate or not, clearly they're just trying to like say, you're going to love it here. Just come here, and there's ways that we can promote these things. Like, there's nothing wrong with promoting an attractive area, but to your point, Ashley, it's got to be on the heels of what really matters, which is our purpose, vision, values. We're going to get into that. Yep. So when we're writing our job ad, here's the tone you want to maintain. Real big takeaway. Please write this down. First of all, the language is always you, not me. Not we have 300 days of sunshine. It's, if I was going to promote the area, I'd be like, you'll have an opportunity to enjoy nature with your family, being too close to 2 ski resorts and around. I mean, just that shift psychologically, and they've done studies on this, completely changes the person's ability to feel like they're being talked with versus talked at. We also want to be confident. Confidence isn't exclamation marks. I've seen many job ad where the typical language is, come join our fast growing PT practice in this area. And what I hear and students and new grads hear is, oh, they're really busy and I'm going to get burned out. Fast growing means get ready to work because we are needing help immediately. If we want to promote growth, we do it differently, and there's ways to do that we'll talk about. Lastly, that tone should be personal, but professional. So we don't want to be so professional, like a lot of hospital ads you'll see come across very like just computer oriented and like boring. But we don't want to be like that last one where it's coming across more like, dude, you got to come join us. It's going to be rocking. We want it to be like, this is the place for you. You are going to experience this here. And this is what we collectively can do. The last mistake is people do not put attention to their ratings on Indeed. These are 2 real jobs that are open in Arizona. The one on the bottom is paying more. The one on the top is paying less. But put in the chat, who would you work for? I don't know if it's that obvious. Top or bottom? Who would you work for? There we go. Yeah.
Top.
Look at that. Did you guys know that? You can put this in. You literally in Indeed, if you have a company page and it is vital that you know it, you put the right like pictures in, and look at these pictures. They're beautiful. Smiling physical therapists, people serving out in the community. Look at this guy smiling at the other guy with the knee. Like, it's one of those things where I get within a glance. If I'm conscious to it or not is irrelevant. I see this and I know immediately what I'm getting here. So please, third mistake in job ads is to not put your information into Indeed on your business page. If you need help with that, just let me know. There's ways to do that. Lastly, the third big takeaway here is that the powerful job ad is simple to make. This is where we actually break down the 5 components of the job ad. Here are the key elements, team. Number 1 is the hook. Very first thing we want the person to see after they've looked at the job offer and they've clicked on that ad is we want to have something that engages their brain. What's the purpose of the first sentence of a job ad to get them to read the whole ad, right? Like, look, I'm just being transparent here. There's a reason at the beginning of this that I told you there'd be a surprise at the end. There's a reason why I'm throwing books at you. It's not because I just care about you, because I do. It's because I want you to understand all this material that we're about to go through. It's very vital that we get people to go all the way to completion at the end. After we hook them into reading it, we want to create what's called a value-based description. This is talking about our company in language that's emotionally driving, that engages them with where we are, why we're here, and where we're going. That value-based description can be short and to the point and emotionally engaging. And then right behind that, we tell them about the benefits and the features. This is an advertisement, just like when you see a commercial on TV. If you ever watch those, if you watch cable anymore, everyone's watching YouTube. But if you watch a commercial, there's always the benefits and the features, right? This is what's going to do for you. This is how it's going to feel. This is the new world you're going to experience by buying this product. We want to list those features and benefits, which are basically components of the job ad. And then we want to make it, now that we've got them interested, and the interest is levels high, then we let them know the importance of using SUE, S-U-E. Never forget this, write this down. Scarcity, urgency, exclusivity. We can't sell anything if it's like, hey man, we need you. Whenever you're willing to come work for us, please, please come work for us. Like, I remember one time I had the hardest time filling this one position in Arizona. And in my ad, I didn't say, we're looking for physical therapists, da, 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 da. I just said, hey, we've only got one opening in our practice. Would you like to know why? It's the scarcity, urgency, exclusivity. And so lastly, there's a call to action, something really clear. And this is where we mess up a lot. People just assume because it's in Indeed that they can just hit reply, which they can. But this is a failed opportunity to qualify people, especially at the front desk level. If you guys are hiring front desks, make your call to action specific, like reply, I'm in, to the subject line of this ad in all caps. And then when emails start piling in for positions that are easier to fill, you just delete all the ones that don't have all in caps, because if they can't follow that simple direction, you don't want them running your insurance verification, right? So here's an example of this. Example, physical therapy. Are you looking to join a company that is committed to a purpose and values? Do you want to join a team that has each other's backs while they share, learn, and grow? Then we want to talk to you. Here at Example, we stand for, this is language that's okay, we encouraging, equipping, empowering our community in wellness. And who is our community? Our first and most important community is our team here at Example. You can see that the person is very quickly getting this value-based description. We know that happy team results in happy patients. Gratefully, our other community just happens to be one of the most beautiful places on earth, which was the Alaska company. More about us. We are PTO and run. So it's, even though we're talking about us still, we're doing it in terms that are going to matter to them. PTO and run. We serve our community. Our owner is one of the leading cranial sacral experts in the Northwest, like that kind of thing. Just important things to note. And then right from there, we go into the benefits of joining the team. I always encourage people to put company culture first. And if you don't have a good company culture, still put it first, because you're going to hire better culturally aligned people by putting it first. And then you can start eliminating your team. Well, remember, we don't have staff on our company. We have team. Staff is who we fire. Staff is an infection. So you can always start with culture. And then we start with things that we think our avatar is going to matter. And this depends on the person. Everyone's a little bit different, but sometimes maybe our avatar is someone who we imagine has a family and they need lots of time off, right? 4 weeks paid, unlimited con ed, whatever that might be, one-on-one patient visits, really. And then lastly, requirements. This is where it starts shifting now. So like, we are looking for outgoing team member, team-oriented and committed physical therapists who want to be part of something bigger than themselves. Like, we're being really clear on this, because later, if people aren't hitting the mark, we can say, listen, from the first day that we met, I told you we were looking for someone who is going to be committed to the team, right? We're looking for a PT who will be with us for the long haul. We're not looking for short term. This is going to discourage a lot of PTs who are just like testing the waters, who have no problem quitting within a year and leaving you in the lurches. We'd prefer it if you had a few years experience, but we'll not turn away the right person. More than anything, we're looking for future leaders who can appreciate the mentoring and leadership development we offer and build up our company's legacy. That last part came right out of my old ads. We are looking for future leaders that can appreciate the mentoring and leadership development we offer. that is a cool way to hit really hard those benefits, like it's a standard and less like it's a convincing argument. We want them to see and feel that, like, whoa, I want to be at a place that I can appreciate that. That's what I want. I want to open my own practice one day, right? And then if we speaks to you on any level, give us a call or an email. We'd love you. Then right there's our call or our email numbers. So let's do a pulse check. How are we feeling? Any questions at this point from any of you? Anything on anything this far?
Comments, anything, put it in the chat.
Yeah. Feel free to chime in with any questions you might have or anything that's on your mind. At this point, you might be feeling one of two ways. One is like, yeah, this makes sense. And I'm ready to hire PTs now. Well, I got what I needed. Let's get going. Maybe you're feeling like, yeah, I get it, but I want more help. And that's okay. I think we have a comment there, don't we, Michelle?
Good stuff. Good stuff from Seth.
Well, Seth, visit one of my favorite human beings on the planet. If you guys don't know Seth Coulter, he is the real deal.
Yeah.
I think I embarrass him every time he shows up to these things. He is one of the coolest human beings I've ever met, no questions.
Same.
So just remember, this is just one small piece. It's okay if you're feeling like, yeah, I get this, but like, how does that really help me? It's okay. This is just one small piece in this creating a full recruiting solution. Remember, your goal isn't to hire someone. I think we get so desperate, and I get it. I've been in that stress where I feel like I'm enabling my team. I'm just dealing with people who are doing okay. I've been there, and I get home and I'm exhausted and I'm tired. And so when I go to hire, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue. We've got a question though.
Okay. I really want to change your goal from being in scarcity to being in abundance. Like, we're not trying to just get a hire. We are going to build a bench of PTs that are waiting for an opening to happen. It's actually easier to recruit from that mindset of growth mindset than it is to like try to find one PT. It is easier to find 5 PTs than 1 PT. That sounds insane, but there's another book. Well, it's called 10X is Better Than 2X by Dan Sullivan. If you want that book, I'm just on our roll. If you guys want that book, I'll send it to you as well. But I want that book. It talks about how it's easier to actually scale something bigger than to try to get one thing. But it also puts us in a growth-oriented mindset. Michelle, what was that question?
All right. Ashley says, job titles. Is it good or bad to put benefits in the job titles? Things like sign-on bonus, does that hinder your chances or increase them?
No, it's great. And remember, it does, well, let me preface what I'm about to say through explaining that it totally depends on the platform. Like an Indeed, which is where most of us are going to advertise, that's going to show up already in that snapshot that I showed you at the beginning here. Let me see if I can get there fast. So this Indeed piece right here, it goes, we're almost there, please hold. So right there. So it's going to show sign-on, it's going to have sign-on bonuses, all that's going to show up here. So that's fine. Remember, that's the first thing they're going to see in Indeed. Anywhere else, I don't mind if people have the sign-on bonus there. Earlier, when we saw that example, there was just a lot of exclamation marks, like a lot of exclamation marks. And it never talked about any of those other components that you discussed. So good question. Any other questions, Michelle? Are we ready to move on?
Yep, we're ready to move on.
Okay. Here's what I found with there are 3 concerns I found when hiring and recruiting PTs. The first is that they think that their area or payer mix will make it extra hard for them to recruit.
And you're, whoa.
Oh. So sorry. Do you mind muting your?
I got to mute it.
So that's very common. I get this all the time when I work with clients. They're like, hey, my area is really hard to recruit. I used to be in the middle of Florence and Tucson, 115-degree weather for 4 months of the year, prisons. Like, I get it. Areas can make it harder to recruit versus other areas. Sometimes people feel like they don't have time to learn and build a solution. And I get it. That's where most of us are. We are so busy that we don't feel like we have time to learn and build a solution. Or they question what they have to offer in terms of a quality physical therapist. Like, maybe they're self-doubting. I've had this happen before. People just are like, yeah, I don't think I have a great company to come work for. But it's okay. In all 3 of these cases, there's things that can be done. So how can I help? Well, I am really excited to be able to tell you what I can do to help each of you find not just the right PT, but build a bench of PTs. And that's through my program called Rockstar Recruiter. Many of you who are already on this call are familiar with it, or even are in it, or some of you, for example, heard me speak at at an event a couple of weeks ago in Orlando, whatever it is. I am really excited to tell you guys in detail what this program is and how it's affected people over the last 2.5 years. We started it 2.5 years ago because when I sold the company, after coming back from Europe, that was one of the main things people called me for. They're like, hey, how did you recruit? How did you do it? So I built this program really as a way to serve people, to help them get where they needed to go. And the great news is it's been out for a long time, and we've had dozens, plural, of companies go through this program from rural Alaska to New York City, where there's hundreds of PTs in one company. So what is it? The Rockstar Recruiter program does 3 things. First, we help you define your ideal hire and your goals. Without this first step, if we're not strategic, we don't know how to execute. So that's the first thing, is we teach you how to be strategic in your recruiting efforts. Then we align your offer, your company's vision, and everything else to that avatar. Remember, we build around who, not what. And so once we've defined the who and what it is that we stand for, then we align those 2 things together before we design the future positions and recruit for them. And here's what's included in this program that I teach. So the core of the program is 6 months access to my online training modules. I've built this program out. It's gotten pretty large. I don't want to overwhelm because it's easy to follow, but it's got pretty much everything you could ever want in it. Because every time I solve a problem for one of my clients, I end up filming it and putting it in there. So there's so many different answers and solutions. You get access to this for 6 months. The reason I make it 6 months as well is because if it was indefinite, then we wouldn't have an end in mind. Most of my clients within a 6-month period get to where they want to go. If they don't, I'll tell you about what happens. There's easy to follow modules that create a long-term solution. That's really the big focus of this program. We have a private Facebook group, a Slack group, and a Marco Polo group where you can get direction and access to me and other members. So if you don't know what Marco Polo is, it's an app on your phone where you can videotape yourself just like, hey guys, it's like texting with a camera. And I kid you not, sometimes I'll look down my phone, there'll be 6 or 7 polos because someone's online recently, someone had to fire someone. And like, I'm worried about the consequences. And that created a whole stream. Oh, sorry, there we go. That created a whole stream of feedback of like people who've been there and done that and helping them out. There's also weekly group training called to help you implement and get personal help. So it's not every week, it's twice a month, but there's bi-weekly. I need to change that, where you get an hour and a half twice a month where we're all together, including me, and we go through your recruiting situation in the program and help you customize it to your needs. We also give you access to lots of different resources and toolkits, from job ad templates to team assessments to email campaign templates to everything you'll ever need to develop leads for recruiting. And you get VIP access to any new content I created as a coach and clients. And that's an ever-evolving thing. Currently, I put this at the bottom. I'm super excited about it because I'm currently talking to an international lawyer as well as a contract lawyer. And we just started, as of today, no kidding, advertising in South Africa for physical therapists that we are going to bring over on green cards and hire directly. So I love my program, and it's me helping you do it. I'm excited about this next step because my goal is to actually provide people for you to hire in a powerful way. And actually, Roy Adams, who's on this call, has had a huge hand in getting to me to this point. But I also want to show you quickly what the program looks like. I've decided to stop sharing screen. I'm going to go over to the main course page. So like when you join the program, this is what you get except for this HBA thing that you see. There's the Rockstar Recruiter Vault. You'll see that's the main program. Every recording from our mastermind group twice a month gets uploaded here. And this is really fun. I want to show you this because you can come in here and just see what you have to look at. If you go back to the first quarter, check this out. You can watch this video on how much time do you give a director for administrative time? What is the best meeting structure for maximum retention? The best EMR for 2023? How to create an on-site content recruiting program in your practice. There's all these cool things that you can do there. And then the vault that you'll see here is all of the templates, like the email templates and those types of things. I have some really fun bonus modules for you guys as well. So that's what the program looks like. And now we'll get back to the main piece. So, all right, I did all this. So remember, guys, no one else other than big companies and my clients are doing these successful actions, right? Mostly because they just don't know how. Once you develop your system, you will be an independent from headhunters, traveling therapists, and other expensive short-term solutions. These programs don't require a lot of time. If people can just be consistent, and that's the trick. If you can be consistent every week and even down to 30 minutes a week, you can make big changes in your company. And I would say you don't even have to do it. I encourage people to find people in their company to do this program for them. I'm even piloting a program now where we are hiring international contractors to run a lot of the email campaigns, social media stuff that we're doing to help generate leads. I teach you all of this in the program. Here's one of our clients, Abhi Zen. He's been working with me for a year, and he can't say enough how much his value has added to his company. He worked with me to fine-tune his hiring process. We can attract the candidates that truly align with our company's visions and purpose. And since then, I've only seen exceptional growth in the company, but in the culture, truly which has taken our business and our company to the next level. Remember, recruiting isn't about finding talent. It's a quintessential expression of leadership. As we build other leaders, we are living our purpose as leaders. And it becomes infectious in the company in a good way, where people start feeling that. This is one of my partners and longtime friend, Nathan Shields, the owner of the PTO podcast, the PT Owners podcast. He says, I've seen Will personally recruit a bench of willing Rockstar PT candidates for clinics such that anytime our providers wanted to leave, we had not only a suitable replacement for them, but someone that we were super excited about. How excited are you about your team members right now? It's one thing to have an open position. It's another thing to ask ourselves, would I emphatically rehire each person on my team? If the answer is no, we might have more positions to fill than we think, right? But don't beat yourself up. At the end of the day, if you think your situation is uniquely different or difficult to recruit for, that's okay. You didn't know. If you question if you have something special to offer, I promise you do. I promise you do. I've never met a PT owner who shows up on one of these calls who isn't trying their best, and that is always something special. If you worry you won't ever get off this hamster wheel, again, you just didn't know. You didn't know what you didn't know. So taking action, guys, is what creates confidence. And so let's talk a little bit about what that looks like for some people. Just 2 more times really quick. The first person in bold says Rockstar Recruiter is a must-have if you want to find your best. Blaine says, my only regret is not joining it sooner. So if you are ready to take action, I'll tell you now what the program entails in terms of positions. I don't do this like full-time. This is something I do as a passion project. I only take on 8 clients every 6 months. 8 clients every 6 months. The good news is I have a new class that's going to start the first week in December. So I am currently now offering people positions to join in that class. The bad news is I just announced that 2 weeks ago, and I've already have 2 people who've signed up. So I only have 6 positions left. It will fill up. And so it's not just a matter of the first come, first serve. I would like to meet, if you're interested on any level, I want to meet you. And I want you to give me more information on where your clinic is at and what your needs are to make sure that it's really a good fit. Because I only want to help if I know that I can, right? But if you do, here are 2 things I wanted to offer this time around in this position. If you join, we're first of all going to throw in a salary negotiation masterclass in at no cost. This is a huge tool in helping us get the right talent in the door at the right price. I don't know if you guys have ever recruited a PT and found yourself haggling over money and being shocked at how much they want, but learning how to recruit and how to negotiate is massive. The second bonus I'm going to throw in is the ultimate physical therapy bonus. So the bonus is a bonus. It's what we use in our practice to retain the A players in a very simple and easy follow format that they ran, not me or Michelle. They were in charge of measuring it themselves and executing it. And it helped them earn additional money when there was money to earn. Huge. And we're going to throw that in there with templates and everything for you. So the next step is to jump on a discovery call. I'm going to go to my Calendly link and put that in there. I'm going to be at PPS this whole week, starting tomorrow. So I have times later today after this call, I have time. And what I would say is I'm going to be at PPS. So if you're at PPS, hit me up. I'm going to give you my cell phone at the end of this. Let's get together and talk. Otherwise, let me make sure I put this in the chat here. All right. To everyone in the meeting, here is my Calendly link. Boom. Feel free to jump on there and grab a 15-minute slot just to talk to me. If you're even not sure, but you just want to learn more about it, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. we'll go over all the details and all that great information at that point. Any questions at this point? Okay. Guys, I've had the privilege of working with so many companies in this program, and it has been such a joy for me to not only see them thrive because they've gotten PTs on board, but to see them grow as leaders. I love the commitment that I've seen in our group, and just really appreciate everyone who's been through my program. Nancy, who's on this call, is such a sweetheart, and she's an example of someone who's really grown. And I am so grateful for them because it makes me a better leader to grow other leaders. And so just in case you're even on the fence a little bit about learning more, I've created 2 guarantees to make sure that you have an amazing experience. The first one is a 30-day money back. If you were in this program for 30 days, you get it all back. And after 6 months, if you haven't hit the goals, I get it. Life happens. Sometimes people aren't able to commit the 30 minutes that they thought they could. I will make sure that you stay in the program as long as you want past that 6 months at no additional cost until you hit your goals. And that's it. That's how we make sure that you guys have that experience. So guys, even if you don't join the Rockstar Recruiter community, you showed up today. And I want to thank you guys all again for being here. You made an investment in your future, and there's my cell number. This isn't a gimmick or whatever. If you need anything, guys, please write that down and give me a text. You can shout out for almost anything. I'm really happy to serve you in any way that I can. And so thank you so much for being here. It's such a privilege for me to share this. Before we go, I do want to leave you with one new exciting announcement that I'm going to let Michelle take over. Miss Michelle, why don't you make our final announcement before I let everyone get back to their fun, exciting lives?
Absolutely. Well, I'm so excited to announce that we have another masterclass that we're offering. It's a new masterclass, and it's empowering clinical directors to lead with an owner's perspective. This is a masterclass that I will be presenting on what we found as the meeting rhythms. So this is a meeting rhythms masterclass. So this is something that we found to be a key component to the development of our team as a whole. It was an opportunity and a magical place where we all got to unite around cascaded messages from executive team leaders. We got to unify around accountability on statistics, and we just got to build energy and celebrate wins along the way. And so this is something that is impactful at any level within your organization. And I'm here to help you learn how to bridge the gap between having your ideal hire, building your clinical director team, and then teaching them and training them how to do this within your clinics. So this will relieve the pressure off of the ever burdensome shoulders of the owner. And so I'm excited to invite you guys to that masterclass. It's 6 p.m. Eastern on November 29th. Again, it's a meeting rhythm masterclass, and this is really an opportunity to learn some of the key tools on how to create alignment and communication with your team through your directors.
Love it. Thank you, Michelle. So guys, I'm going to text this back up on there again. There's the investment total. So what you're waiting for, this program, normally we charge $15,000. It's on sale now for $7,512. That is what we are currently charging for that. But to be honest, I wasn't going to really share a lot of that piece of it because I need to meet with you guys to determine there's a few options here that we can work with to see if that's something that can serve you and go from there. So let me go back to, I can't. So that's it. Guys, thank you so much for being here on our class today. It has been an absolute privilege to be with you. If you guys have any other questions, please let me know. I look forward to meeting with you on the call. And yeah, thanks again. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.